If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Let me go on, like I blister in the sun. Let me go on, big hands, I know you're the
one. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator One-Eye Opperman, they call me. God, I think I lost a contact lens in my eye. My left eye, the one I have to wear 2 contacts, since we had a lot of pain in there all week long. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Private Investigator One-Eye Opperman. If you need me, get a hold of me at oneeyeinvestigations@gmail.com. OppermanInvestigations@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me. Check out our Patreon. Now, I put up some good stuff in the Patreon. I put up the sizzle reel from the pilot, the TV pilot. It's like a little video clip, you might call it. And then I put up the audio we put together about all this stuff about Hunter Biden. And that'll be going in a more affordable tier coming up this week, and then that's as low as it goes. But check that out. Then check us out on Spreaker, Friday night, 8 p.m. I don't know what I'm going to do about these live shows, man. I got to figure something out, man. I got to figure something out quick, because I'm going to be saying goodbye to these live shows. Could take a huge hit in income come January 1st when we can't play these shows live. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure it out, I guess, right? Okay, so coming up after this, I have 2 great shows for you. I might have to take a little break and fix this contact lens and get back to you. Here, give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. Welcome back to the show. Took a little musical break there, a little musical interlude for you there, for your pleasure and your enjoyment. Okay, busy week. Let's get right into it. Oh my God, I got to start with a funny story. When was it? I was talking to you. I don't remember what it was, but every now and then I keep an eye on certain people. People either cause myself a problem or a client cause a problem. And I'll keep an eye on what's going on in their life. And, when they got court, I like to pop in and watch the Zoom hearings with my name right up there as one of the guests in the Zoom hearing, Ed Opperman, right? So the guys, usually the defendant in the case. And they see my name up there, they get all freaked out. Oh, my God, Ed's still keeping an eye on me after all these years. And so I had one this week where I'm just sitting there quietly, minding my own business. And the hearing's over, and they go through all the different defendants all day long. And I'm still sitting there. So the judge says, well, Ed Opperman, are you here for an appearance? And that happens a lot. I forget that I'm still on, So it's happened before. And I usually say, no, Your Honor. I'm here as an observer for the press, WPPR, 1490 AM. Or I might say here, no, Your Honor, I'm here working for this attorney here, here on behalf of so-and-so attorney. And so he says, do you have an appearance today? And I says, no, Your Honor, I'm here as an observer. Okay, and I gave the radio station. And he goes, Mr. Opperman, did you just refer to me as honey? And I looked down, and I had just texted Victoria, I love you, honey. So instead of saying Your Honor, I said, no, honey. I'm here as press. Oh, God. I think it was a lot funnier when it happened at the time. But anyway. Oh, I just want to make a statement. I want to make an announcement that I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. Okay. A friend of mine sends me over this podcast. He goes, I had this podcaster here. He's saying that the death of Stephen Hoffenberg was mysterious. And I says, who says that? So he sends me over this podcast, right? I'm listening to this thing. And this idiot, I don't know who the guy is, man. If the guys are listening, I apologize in advance. But he's going to do a report on Epstein from stuff that he Googled, and half the stuff he's got wrong. Okay, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. And he has to do this disclaimer at the beginning that to notify the world that he's not suicidal because he may get killed for this stuff that he just Googled. And now he's going to read you off of Google here. But I am not super suicidal. I want everyone to know that. I want everyone to understand. It's a very important broadcast. Okay. So, a lot of things going on. It's supposed to be an October surprise. Been rumors about this. And then there's been counter rumors. Now, one of the stories going around is that there's this kind of October surprise coming out about Trump. And there's allegedly a video of him groping a teenage girl who's a daughter of one of his big donors at a private donors event there. Now, if that tape exists, okay, it would either be out or there are financial negotiations for that tape. That's how these things work. Okay, and it would work also, too, that the person who's negotiating would release a rumor about this, saying, hey, there's a tape out there of this girl getting molested by Trump. So keep an eye out on that, all right? It may disappear. Not that it doesn't exist. A lot of stuff around Trump gets hushed up. He's a professional at that kind of thing. Because he offers them lifetime contracts. Man, Omarosa gets $130,000 a year for the rest of her life, just to do what she's doing now. She's still beefing about Trump, but just not to talk about the real stuff she knows. Then the counter October surprise comes out. Good old George Santos. That's a reliable source if you ever had one. George Santos puts out a video and goes, there's a tape coming out about Kamala. It's coming out tomorrow. I promise you. And then who do we have to back him up with that nut Ali Carter I don't know if you know who this woman is, but it upsets me so much to see her getting so much play. Ali's Army or whatever it is, right? Or no, maybe that's Cappy's Army, the other BS artist, who shared nothing new whatsoever the entire time of his public life and his sad departure from this world. But what do you call it? This Ali Carter comes to the scene because she pretty much just copies word for word the Stephen D. Kelly story about the 300,000 children underneath the Getty Museum in California. And Stephen Kelly, made up that story from whole cloth. He also made up that he was an NSA contractor and a CIA contractor. That's all made up. That has all been checked and verified that the guy's a total complete fraud. 10 years ago. Okay? And now here this other clown comes along and basically repeating his nonsense, and it catapults to fame. Just amazing the way this stuff works. So anyway, so she and George Santos, who's, I don't know why he's not in prison right now, but the guy's going to prison. What do you call it? They got their own October surprise. It's coming out any day now, any minute now. It's supposed to come out tomorrow, which was today. Okay, but it's still not out yet. So let's keep an eye out for those guys in there. They're wonderful. Is the chat room laughing about me calling the judge honey? Is that what you're laughing about? Oh my God! I wanted to. I'll show you a screenshot. I was talking to my daughter and it just slipped out. Oh God! How embarrassing is that? But that's the kind of stuff that happens when you start getting older. I was going to call tonight's show the Star Wars bar. Okay. It just came out in more litigation this week and more court papers that Trump admitted he lost. He knew he lost the election. And he was calling his own lawyers, especially Sidney Powell and Giuliani and Jenna Ellis and that whole bunch. He was calling this crack legal team the Star Wars bar. And if you ever saw that scene in Star Wars, where they go into the bar with all those wacky characters in there, right? By the way, Jenna Ellis has me blocked. Okay, all of a sudden, after we got along for a long time. And then George Santos also has me blocked just recently. Now, I wish they had a thing on there with the date that would tell you when it was blocked, because there's another one, too, that has blocked me, too. I can't talk about that one in public, but there's other things I'm working on that has me blocked. So I may have been outed. I may have been caught in the act, guys. But the election's almost here, so we'll be fine. I was talking about my opposition research project that I'm working on, which, by the way, you hear these stories with these crackpots, Patrick Byrne from Overstock.com and Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, and Sidney Powell, and they're trying to claim that the Democrats somehow have this ability to rig voting machines and do all this kind of with 2,000 mules and fake ballots going. I could tell you from my work, working for these campaigns, they do not have that capability, man. They do not have the capability to rig a voting machine. They wouldn't even know where to start. Most of these these offices, okay, the party offices, not the campaign offices, the party offices, they just don't have that kind of capability. They don't have the savvy to do that kind of stuff. And they have very small staff. They get paid a lot, but they have very small staff. And the thing is, what the Democrats have an advantage over Trump is get out the vote. They know how to get out the vote. These people around Trump, they're just brand new in politics. They're reality TV star fans that decided to get into politics and buy a flag and stand on a corner and wave their flag and get on a boat and drive their boat around and go to rallies. But even at those rallies, 13% of those people at the Trump rallies aren't even registered to vote. And I can guarantee you on top of that, so all the Twitter posts in the world and all the people at the rallies, they're not even registered to vote. And I can guarantee you that even the ones registered, they don't know where their polling place is to go vote. They just, half of them don't know. And this is why the Democrats are going to win again this year. And the GOP is broke, man. The GOP is broke. And the one state I'm involved with right now that I'm helping out, they had to close down their offices and reduce their staff. They got no money. You know? The other side doesn't need to rig voting machines and stuff like that. Okay. Kind of going all over the place this week, but that's okay. Hey, Laura Loomer is suing Bill Maher, okay? Because Bill Maher, claimed that she had sex with Trump and that she's a bimbo, so she sues for $150 million against HBO and Bill Maher. I predict that HBO will settle that suit probably for about $150,000, maybe even as much as $500,000, but they're going to settle that suit. There's no point in continuing that. Although I might have a witness. Okay, I may have a witness that HBO could use, if they want to reach out to me. Or maybe I can reach out to them if I get some energy this week. Get some stuff going on there. Giuliani has to turn over all of his assets to 2 Georgia election workers. How do you love that, man? Rudy Giuliani was defaming these 2 little old lady election workers. They ran this whole scam to steal the election. I think it was Georgia, right? Yeah, Georgia. And he's ordered to pay them now $150 million. So he actually has to turn over an apartment in Manhattan. And all of his New York Yankees memorabilia and stuff like that, those luxury items. So I tell you, man, the old expression, F around and find out, man. Good old Rudy Giuliani's fine tonight. I believe Giuliani's going to wind up in jail. But I think before he would go to prison, he would take matters into his own hands. Now, the title, I believe I mentioned the Memendez brothers, right? Yeah, everybody knows the Memendez brothers. And then the story came out later on. I know there's a thing on Netflix about them too, but everybody knows about the Memendez brothers. Then it came out later that their father was the manager or music producer, whatever, for Menudo, and he was accused of molesting one of the members of Menudo. Now, what I can tell you here at the Opperman Report, exclusive about this story that I know, I was hired there was a documentary about Neverland Ranch, okay? And some allegations were made surrounding the construction of a piece of property on that ranch, the railroad, the train station. And I was hired to find out when that train station was built. So working on that, I was in touch with a couple of private investigators that work for the Michael Jackson defense. And they put me in touch with this fellow who was involved on the ranch in designing these facilities, these structures on the ranch. And what I found out was, this is exclusive. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. That guy was friends with the Menendez's father. And that guy would take the Memendez brothers to Neverland Ranch for day trips and overnight stays at the Neverland Ranch. The Memendez brothers stayed at the Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. How do you like that? And tell me you're going to hear that anywhere else in the world. Okay, except maybe for the Memendez brothers. Why that didn't come out so far, I don't know. But that's out there. Oh, the other one now is Mel Gibson, right? You see all this stuff, a lot of fake memes out there about Mel Gibson outed Hollywood pedophilia and sexual abuse in Hollywood. And Mel Gibson's a hero. And now he's coming out. He's not voting for Kamala. Not that she's stupid. I'm voting for Trump. Well, he has a lot in common with Trump. There was his ex-girlfriend, who he has a child with. He was charged with sexual battery of her. Okay? Now, I'm not connected with her, but the other young lady who was dating him was this porn actress. What was her name? Her name was Violet something. And she was one of Gina Rodriguez's clients, right? And she had the same allegations, too, about Gibson, right? They said Gibson has been, like pay-to-play porn stars, man. That's what this guy's about. You know what I mean? That's what this guy's doing, He's like a sugar daddy with these porn stars, and he treats them like slaves. I don't know if he's still doing it, but at this period of time, he was absolutely doing it. And one of these young ladies was a client of Gina Rodriguez. And it was also this whole big shady thing, too, with this bodyguard guy, who was trying to... Violet Cowell is the one who was my friend, who was Gina's client. And I actually... the way we became friends was when I got hired on that... I wasn't hired. But when that thing came up with the Howard Stern show with that guy, I think his name was Jared, and they found a fake dating profile of him on Plenty of Fish. And I was contacted by Steve Langford, and he says, hey, Ed, can you find out who's behind this ad? So my plan was to create another fake ad and contact him from that ad. So I went on Facebook and I say, who can get me who's a pretty girl, a model out there, who can get me some pictures here? You got to sign a disclosure, though, because it's going to be used on the Howard Stern show. And I was contacted by Violet Cowell, and we used her pictures to create the ad to try and contact Jared. But by that time, good old Steve Langford blabbed the whole thing all over TV, all over the Howard Stern show, and it never came out. But anyway... So Mel Gibson is not the nice, wonderful guy that people think he is. All right? Give me a break with that guy. He's just as perverted as all these other characters are. Yeah, the Memendez father was a monster. There's no doubt about that. But the guys, the sons did kill him. It was a premeditated murder. But what are you going to do? Okay, now the other one, big story this week is this fellow Mike Jeffries. It came out that Mike Jeffries, who ran Abercrombie and Fitch from 1992 to 2014, he was just charged with the sex trafficking of boys. And what he and his buddies would do is they would tell these young men, hey, you can become a model for Abercrombie and Fitch. You have to come meet us out there in Australia. But before you come meet us, they would be taken to like a salon and have their whole bodies shaved, all the hair shaved off their bodies. And then Mike Jeffries and his buddies would take advantage of these young boys. Now, and that story is all over the news. Everyone sees that. And they say, oh my goodness, look at this. This is just like Jeffrey Epstein. Look at this. This is just like P. Diddy. Right? But what people don't realize, and for the life of me, well, not for the life of me, I know why. Okay. The media around the whole Epstein thing is totally controlled. Okay. Including the podcaster community. But what do you call it? What's not being mentioned here at all is it's the usual suspects. Les Wexner, Epstein's client, acquired Abercrombie and Fitch in 1988, and he appointed this pervert sex trafficker, Mike Jeffries, to run Abercrombie and Fitch from 92 to 2014. Just a coincidence? Just a coincidence that lovely Mr. Wexner just happens to be connected. And by the way, Epstein was doing the same thing with Victoria's Secrets, getting these young girls to tell them they could be models of Victoria's Secrets. Doing the same pattern here. Now, why isn't that mentioned anywhere in any of these stories? And why aren't the million? We know that everyone's an expert on Jeffrey Epstein right now. Why aren't any of them mentioning this right now? Why is it just me? I'm the silly goose. Why is it that all the time we've known about Wexner and Victoria's Secret and the Limited 2 and all this stuff and all these businesses, there has never been a single meme to boycott Victoria's Secrets because of their connection to Epstein and Wexner? Not one. There's memes about tunnels under the island and temples on the island, and he was never killed. It was a suicide and all this other stuff. He never killed himself. And the list, of course, the list, right? But never anything to even approach saying, hey, let's boycott Les Wexner. Now, this isn't the only sex scandal Wexner's involved in, too, because Wexner is involved in the Ohio State University scandal, The one that's called the Jim Jordan scandal, the GYM Jordan scandal. Jim had to know what was going on. Well, I interviewed many people involved in that OSU scandal, Roddy Ratcliffe, and a couple of people off the air, too, by the way. Okay? They don't want to come on air. And it wasn't just that Jim Jordan knew what was going on. Jim Jordan was a hero at that school. He was already an Olympic wrestling god, okay, when he went there to be an assistant wrestling coach, or maybe he was a wrestling coach, or whatever it was. And he ruled that locker room. And they had like an election of who was king of the sauna. And I think it was, well, I don't want to mention, but one of the victims in the OSU case told me that one of the things they would have to do is they would take a tongue depressor and scrape the sweat off of Jim Jordan's back, okay, in this locker room over there. Now, this doctor over there who had lockers and gym access, not just to the wrestlers, but to every sport, the swim team, he was in every single locker room. He had a locker in every locker room, and he had a camera with him, taking pictures of these young men, okay? I forget his name, but he was a doctor, and everybody talks about, whatever, but the molestation happened over there at the doctor's office. You know where that doctor's office took place there on OSU campus? In the Les Wexner Medical Building, a building named after Wexner. And do you know also, too, that Epstein donated money to that college there? And around that same time that money was donated, that suddenly anybody who worked on that campus was allowed to hang around in those locker rooms and in those showers with those young men? Do we notice a pattern here yet? Do we notice a pattern here yet that not only it's the same folks over and over, a lot of money, and when it's reported in the press, they just twist it just a little bit. They tell you the story about Mike Jeffries and Abercrombie and Finch, but they don't tell you that Les Wexner ran the company, he owned the company. Isn't that important to know? Who appointed Mike Jeffries into this position of perversion? Les Wexner. Where did this happen at OSU? In the Wexner building. Wexner's wife, I think she was still a trustee until just recently. She was making decisions about who was being punished for allowing this guy to go rampant on all these boys over there. You're crazy. Ed lost touch with the Epstein case years ago. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, God. Oh, God. Turns out that Elon Musk, it just came out today, as a matter of fact, he's been chatting with, Trump admits he's been chatting with Netanyahu every day, just about, he says, right? And Netanyahu listens to him and doesn't listen to Biden, and which is a violation of the Logan Act. Another violation of the Logan Act is Elon Musk, who's been talking with Sergei Kirienko and Vladimir Putin. So Putin's deputy chief of staff and Putin himself. And that's Sergei Kirienko is this guy who created 30 internet domains to pump Russian disinformation. Where is he pumping this disinformation from? From Twitter. And not only that, too, but they're saying that these Russians, too, they were the ones pumping this disinformation about FEMA and the response to these hurricanes, okay? Which, if you just live through a hurricane, and I saw it myself, like I have a friend who was down by had a trailer down by Gandy over there, and she was flooded out. She lost everything, and she contacted FEMA, and they gave her a trailer to put her family in temporarily. She's getting a house now coming up, but she had 5 kids, man. We did a show about her. We did the thing. She wanted to take her kid to Disneyland, not a whole show, but she had a GoFundMe I tried to promote for her. So they gave her a trailer, and they gave her like prepared meals. That she had so many of these prepared meals, she was able to give some away to other people in trouble. But everyone says, I hear that if you apply, you don't get anything. That's not true at all, man. People are getting money all over the place. And I got to get around to applying. I lost a fridge full of food. Get something out of it, right? I think they give you $1,200 for that. So, Anyway, and now we hear now that was Russian disinformation. It's amazing. Like, it's the whole freaking country for sale to these Russians, man. I know what I forgot to do. I forgot to tell you what shows are coming up tonight. And they're good shows, too. One is with Dave Emery. Dave Emery came back. God bless him. What a gentleman Dave Emery is, by the way, too, you know, because I kind of dropped the ball with some things with Mr. Emery. And he was kind enough to keep reaching out to me and say, hey, Ed, let's do another show. And, thank God I did. He came back with some great stuff about Yoko Ono and the assassination of John Lennon. Okay, some new, fresh stuff that I had never heard before, as a matter of fact. So we have good old Dave Emery coming back. And I'm going to try and have him come back, too. We were talking off the air, and I want to have him come back to talk about his legacy, especially his anti-fascism, you know. So hopefully I'll be able to tape with him again before the election, is what he's hoping to as well. So what else is going on? The next one coming up after that is called Wrong Numbers. Now, this is a fascinating story that took place in Las Vegas. Quick note here, okay. When I first moved to Vegas, I heard this story. And because when I first moved to Vegas, 10% of the women who lived and worked in Las Vegas worked in the sex industry. They were either models, or the adult industry, I guess they call it. They were models, they were strippers, they were escorts. They worked in some type of, that type of industry. So you'd go to DMV, and you'd see, all these beautiful women online at DMV. And it's not like that anymore, trust me. Okay? But the yellow pages in Las Vegas at that time, the phone book, was about 7 inches thick. And about 75% of that was escort service ads, okay, in the Las Vegas yellow pages. And there was this big scandal, right, about some guy figured out to take, if I'm trying to call up Yellow Orchid massage parlor or Yellow Orchid escort service, and I call their phone number up, this guy figured out how to take their calls and forward it to his own escort service. So he was stealing the clients from all these people. So when I got to Vegas, I heard this story. It was a fascinating story. And they brought in this guy called the Aspirin. Okay. Tony the Aspirin, something like that, right? Because he used to fix headaches for the mob, right? And the way that Tony the Aspirin would do this is with a power drill. They figured out, they thought they knew who was doing this, right? And they thought they had the guy. So they grabbed him, and they were torturing him with this drill. And while they're torturing him with the drill, they're talking to the FBI, because FBI informants or FBI agents had embedded themselves into all this stuff here. And so they had to sweep in there and cut the investigation short. So anyway, I interviewed this fellow who's a TV guy in Vegas and stuff like that. I had him TV news and stuff. Had some funny conversations up there too. But what do you call it? So I had him on the show. He wrote a book about this called Wrong Numbers. Okay, and it's a very good interview. You're gonna enjoy both of these interviews with Dave Emery and also too with this fellow Glenn Meek. By the way, it's very hard to find him, so I had to contact Denny Griffin. Remember Denny Griffin who came on the show with us with Frank Collada? It turns out Denny Griffin passed away. He was involved with the Mob Museum in Las Vegas and stuff like that. And it turned out he passed away from COVID, one of that COVID stuff, That kind of breaks my heart. Oh, by the way, Scott Pressler, that long-haired guy who's always running around talking about his get out the vote and registering people to vote. It seems like there's a Pennsylvania scandal right now, and Scott Pressler may be getting arrested. And just even as we speak, they might have a warrant out for this character. And kind of funny, he didn't block me. Maybe he did. I'll check, because I know that his get out the vote Twitter doesn't have me blocked, but I confronted him one time. He was wearing these shorts because he's got this real long hair, and he looks like, there's a picture of him with that guy Dom Lucre, and they look like they're boyfriends, But so I said to him, hey man, do you shave your legs? And he goes, yeah, I do shave my legs. So I don't have the Scott Presler, but I'm on the persistence one I have, but not Scott Presler. So maybe he did block me on his personal page. Well, a lot of people still don't block me lately. What are you going to do? I guess that's karma, or you might say. Okay, now I interviewed someone today about their book, and she was saying to me in the pre-interview once again, oh, yeah, I listened to a bunch of your shows to see what your shows are like. And whenever someone says that, I always say, oh, no, which one did you listen to? Because, we had some crazy shows, man, Oh, no, which one did you listen to? She goes, oh, I listened to one about Kurt Cobain, and I listened to one about, I forget what the other one she was saying. And then she goes, and then I listened to the one where you were planning to kill your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. I remember telling that story. I really was going to kill him, And I think I told you the story that, I was plotting the murder of this guy in detail, okay? And he deserved it. But, by the way, we're all friends now, okay? The ex-girlfriend passed away. She died. But me and the guy I was going to kill, we're friends. Even though the guy turned out to be an informant, too. But, bygones be bygones, right? And I told the story about how I was plotting to kill this guy. And I was really, it was an elaborate plan, but I'm not going to do something sloppy. And I was a young guy, too, man. I was still living in that studio apartment, man. So I was like 19 years old, 20 years old. And the room became filled with wind from the inside of the room, and I had to pray to God to make it stop, man. So I said, well, maybe this plan is not the right move here, right? So I did not. I spared his life. That's the happy ending. Many times the Opperman Report will have a happy ending to our shows here. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Let's see here. What else we got in the old notaroos? Oh, Israel just bombed Iran tonight. Did you know that? Just happened, like not even 10, 15 minutes ago, man. I don't know what we're going to see over there, man. I don't know what the hell we're going to see over there. Yeah, Trump is going on Joe Rogan. I won't have him. I won't have Trump on my show. I refuse. Boy, what a week this was, man. I tell you, I had a really stressful week. I had this meeting I was really worried about, man. My ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend is going to take me down. A little worried about what's going to happen this week, but I'm here, so. Bezos kills Washington Post endorsement. Yeah, Brick Post, cowardice. Oh, E. coli. There's a big McDonald's E. coli outbreak this week after a certain stunt where they brought in an ex-president who doesn't wash his hands and wears a diaper. And then suddenly there's an E. coli break all over the whole McDonald's town, all over town there. Let's see what's going on there. Thought I had more notes, I'll be honest with you. Okay. And I got to, what do you call it? Fix that thing so I could take phone calls, Like a good night tonight, we take some phone calls. Give me a little break. Yep, I don't think I have any more notes. I think we might have to end our show early. How sad is that, man? I only come to you once a week, and then I got to cut it off early, right? But it's been a rough week, I got to tell you, man. I'm having this problem with my eye. It hurts all the time. And I can't find that contact that's in there, if it's in there or not, or just my eye's just irritated or infected or something like that. So another reason to get down to the doctors. But hey, did you hear that? I don't know if it's real or not, but did you hear that tape about P. Diddy talking about the pizza boxes and destroy the pizza boxes and then recycle the plastic? I think what they're talking about, would he have VHS tapes? Would he have VHS tapes? And I think he's talking about pulling all the VHS tapes out, But he's talking to his son there in code over the jailhouse phone, man, like a genius. Hey, you really got to wonder what these guys are so stupid. Can always use guest suggestions, I had good stuff this week. I'm not worried about that. But just for the future, always looking for good suggestions. We want to leave you some suggestions here. And we're coming into the high-end advertising season for Christmas time advertising. So if there's someone out there that can help me with these reels and TikToks, man, that would be great. So I could drive traffic to the podcast. And I think this year, if I can't get anybody to help me do the merch, I'll just have to do it myself. I don't know how or when, man. Like right now, I'm supposed to be recording some ads. These new ads I got to do. You guys got a really brilliant idea with the ads thing there, but I don't even have time to record the freaking ads. Because first you got to read all this stuff about the product, and you have to write your own copy, and it's just so much work, man. It's so much work. And just the money is so diluted in the podcast business these days. It's just hopeless. Well, all these clowns are, I am not suicidal. Let me tell you what I Googled about a man named Steven Hoffenberg. There's nothing suspicious. I talk to Hoffenberg 3 times a week. God. Just what a shit show this whole thing is, man. I had another song Ed, what do you make of the Tony Busby and Company story? I don't think I know anything about it. Tony Busby? Wait a second. Tony Busby, that does sound familiar. Let me Google that. Tony Busby. Oh, he's the lawyer for Diddy. Sure, okay. Well, I do know. Busby's got that case covered, man. Like nobody would even bother to pick up another Diddy victim without bringing Busby into it, man. If I had one, I'd go straight to Busby with it. And that's what I know now. I don't know anything but what's going on with Busby though, other than he's got about 100 Diddy abuse victims, and but that money's going to run out fast, man. Diddy's money's going to run out fast. So it's sad, but these victims, they usually don't. And then the way he's doing it, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody. But let's see how we're doing here. Interesting how they're saying that a lot of his Diddy parties took place after the VMAs. Remember we had that father Upman about I forget the young lady's name who was raped at the VMAs by Harvey Weinstein. I tell you what, man, I was one of the things I didn't tell you guys about was the whole Corey Haim stuff when I was doing my 11 years recap there for you, which I guess people were starting to get sick of it, the last one. But I'll give you one more, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. My first show about Corey Feldman and Corey Haim was called Let's Look at the Clues. And that's where I just took a public, what do they call that, open source look at the situation. And I came to the conclusion that it was Charlie Sheen who molested Corey Haim. Okay, and that was years before Feldman came out with that $20 live stream thing, where he said it was Charlie Sheen. So I did that show. It was called Let's Look at the Clues, and Feldman retweeted it. Okay, he liked it, then he retweeted it. Then when I started talking to the people around him, there's a lot of those angels. I was talking to the angels and some other people around the story, and I actually got one of them a lawyer. Okay, but it seems like they had already been paid off. There was already a settlement in that case. My conclusion at the end of dealing with all the angels and mothers and peoples involved and all of that stuff, right? And by the way, too, Feldman comes back to me through some intermediary volunteer agent that he has, asking me to go through all my shows and find certain clips that he liked so that he could sell it to people for $20 on his live stream. Okay. And then I heard that he did use some clips. Then I heard again, no, he didn't. I never watched this. I can't tell for sure. I contacted the agent woman. I said, "Hey, can I get a copy of the stuff he used?" She goes, "Oh, we never used it, Ed. We never used it." But I had other people tell me they did use it, so who knows? And according to Feldman, it's gone for her. He doesn't have a copy of it. But my overall interpretation of that, and I think I did it the last show, was I've called it the Corey Feldman Circus. All the characters around that, was that there was a settlement, okay, by somebody high up in all that situation there. And everyone had to go back and get permission from her before they could talk. And a lot of the people going to her for permission didn't know that she had already been paid and she'd gotten a settlement. That's my impression. I can't tell you anything factual there. I couldn't swear to it on a Bible. But after dealing with all those people, they were definitely going back to other people for permission to talk about things and permission amongst themselves. And you can kind of tell these things. This is kind of stuff that happens. All right, guys. I'm done. Okay. I got one eye. I got one foot in the grave. Got a million things going on. So, I'm going to play us out here. And then I'll see you guys. I want to play after this Dave Emery, Yoko Ono, John Lennon, and then the story about the wrong numbers, Glenn Meek. All good stuff. Good night, guys. I love you.